What's up, YouTube? This is your boy Road to Recovery. Today I'm going to touch on a very important topic, and that topic is the power of community and why you should be allowing community into your lifestyle. I firmly believe that in the recovery process, trying to go it alone is equivalent to trying to do brain surgery by yourself, or trying to build an Atlas rocket by yourself, or trying to do any extremely complex process by yourself. It's foolhardy because, first off, you may not have the skills to be able to pull yourself out. And even if you did have the time and the effort to try to get those skills, whether it's psychological or neurological or what have you, you're still a poor candidate, even with those skills, to try to do self-analysis. You really need to have third parties in your life. And when we talk about communities, we're kind of stretching that to not just professional, but people who actually take an active interest in who you are and what you're doing, and can maybe speak with some experience, which is different than necessarily a medical professional or a psychological professional who is basically, not to say that they don't care, it's just that once you leave their office, out of sight, out of mind. I had an incident and I want to share it with you. And this is a classic example of why community is so important on your road to recovery. I periodically go through depressive states. And due to my recent crash with pornography, I'm constantly slapped in the face with reminders about how stupid my activity was, and how detrimental it was to a lot of different aspects of my life. And it hurts. I'm constantly reminded of that hurt, and it puts me into a depressive state. And I've been given a lot of tools to overcome depression. So, I'm aware of cognitive behavior therapy, and at times it does a fantastic job. I use meditation. I have mindfulness. So I bring a lot of tools to the game. And even with all those tools, there's some times where I just cannot get myself out of a funk. Regardless of what I'm trying. And half of the battle is just dealing with the effort, right? So, putting yourself in a right place to where you can kind of get out of that funk. Because when you're in that funk, that's also happens to be the area where you're low energy, right? So it's just difficult to kind of push yourself out of a hole. Sometimes I succeed, sometimes I don't. And that particular day, I was not succeeding, and the reason why is because I was so low energy, I just did not want to get out of bed. And I cognitively understood that I should be getting out of bed, but man, it was just difficult. So I was in a gloom for at least half of a day, and hadn't left the bed at all, wasn't talking to anybody. Then out of the blue, I get a phone call. And the phone call is from a person who is in my SLAA group, who I never talk to. Never talk to. He never calls me. I never call him. We have conversations during the meeting, but he never calls me after meetings. And when he called me, he said the most interesting thing. He said, "You know something? I had this weird feeling like I should call you right now." Yeah. So, some people might chalk that up to a crazy spiritual experience. I don't know if I believe it, but I also have a hard time of believing in weird coincidences. Maybe what was happening was that because we had spent so much time together in SLAA, that he was reading my body language and kind of understood that, I was going through something. And maybe that was the case. I don't know. The only thing I can tell you is that after he called me, and by the way, the phone conversation was very light. I told him, my current state of mind. I don't think it lasted 5 minutes, but it was a pleasant conversation. I hung up the phone, and you know something? I felt like $1,000,000. I felt full of energy. I got straight out of bed and I went right to my chore list and started going down my chores. Just that one conversation changed my whole perspective, changed the way I was feeling, changed everything that I was doing on that particular day. Just a simple conversation. You can't tell me that community isn't important, that friendship isn't important, that building bonds with people who understand what you're going through isn't important. If you aren't engaged in a 12-step program, I encourage you to get in one. If you are in one, I hope that you're leaning on your sponsor, which means actively engaging your sponsor on a regular basis. I hope that you're making connections inside of your group, asking for phone numbers if you can, if they'll give it to you. And if they will, reach out occasionally. But also listening to what they have to say. I know one of my biggest struggles, because I have so much pride in my life, one of my biggest struggles is just trying to get past my pride and understanding that I can ask for help. That's huge, right? And I know a lot of people struggle with that. They don't want to ask for help. I've always been the type of person that thought he could do everything by himself, that could overcome any obstacle whatsoever. Man, am I wrong. You need help, and you need to go ask for assistance. And don't be afraid to go seek it. And also, don't be afraid to give it. Part of being in a community is giving back. Enjoy your recovery. Build those friendships and alliances. Let that be a part of your network. Let yourself be a part of that network. That's all for today. I'm going to be making some other videos on some topics related to porn addiction and recovery. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already, and certainly go back and check out some of my other videos if this is your first time listening. Thank you, and have a good and safe road to recovery.